Differentiated landscape is one of the special features of the region of Lublin. Agriculture was, and in fact still is, the most important factor that created this unique landscape. The character of the countryside landscape has a decisive impact on the natural value and quality of the Lublin region environment. It is also the main reason why so many valuable species of plants and animals are to be found here. Large and monotonous fields sown with a single crop don't leave a lot of space for nature. Uncultivated, non-agricultural areas among the fields are places where most plants and animals have their habitat. Any wasteland, field margins, ponds, clumps of trees, or even a single tree is an ideal place to live for them. Those landscape elements are often a refuge of rare and endangered species. Almost none of the rare and endangered species is able to survive in a homogeneous landscape of arable lands. The diversity of the landscape is a very important factor contributing to the diversity of plants and animals. A landscape consisting of arable lands, permanent grasslands, forests and wetlands is the most beneficial to biological diversity. Landscape heterogeneity and the diversity of different habitats is a very important feature of the valleys of great rivers, which makes them protected under various forms of nature conservation schemes. It is associated with the activity of the river. Many different marshy habitats develop in land depressions, as the bed of mowed reed visible behind my back. Hay meadows are located in places of higher altitudes. Wastelands, field margins and uncultivated lands are covered by specific and diverse vegetation. Its character depends on soil moisture content and on how long the site has not been cultivated or managed in some other way. Both weeds and species more common to meadows and grasslands can be found in those unique habitats. Fields, meadows, pastures, but also field margins, midfield roads or belts of trees and shrubs, very popular in the region of Lublin, are part of an agricultural landscape. Each of these landscape components has a unique set of plant species, which create a habitat for many different animal species. The diverse vegetation found in various parts of the landscape also provides a variety of animal world species. Invertebrate, including insects, reach an exceptional richness of species here. Wastelands are often inhabited by many thermophilic species, such as the praying mantis. The European mantis is a very interesting species. This insect is large, thermophilic and predatory, as well as known for its cannibalistic habits. A large percentage of males are eaten during the mating season by larger females. This species appears in Poland only in the vicinity of the forests of Janów and Sandomierz. At the moment, thanks to the global warming and the large number of fallow lands and other marginal habitats, the mantis spreads to the north. There are known locations of the mantis near Puławy and Lublin, and even in the vicinity of Warsaw, Siedlce and Włodawa. The richness of the world of insects attracts numerous predators that have developed lots of amazing hunting strategies. Among all others, spiders have developed the most diverse hunting skills. Within the different elements of landscape, you can find spiders different in size, appearance, eating habits, or way of hunting for victims. Marginal habitats such as midfield woodlots, shrubs and ponds are extremely important for all invertebrates, including spiders.
tym również dla pająków. Badania prowadzone
Research conducted in such habitats has shown their influence on the colonization of arable land.
użytków rolnych.
Those habitats have a 50-meter colonization range effect on the arable land.
Na zasiedlanie użytków rolnych. Natomiast
In contrast, studies that were conducted on vegetation belts have shown that belts of perennial vegetation, such as field margins, are of much greater importance for the preservation of diversity than annual vegetation. And of course, the lack of such belts of vegetation on agricultural land.
na użytkach rolnych.
Different landscape elements are inhabited by numerous species of vertebrate, including many species of birds. Both land abandoned from cultivation, bogs, ponds or midfield trees and shelter belts are the right places for foraging and nestling of bird life. Many of bird species can be found only in rural areas. The agricultural landscape in Poland accounts for about 60% of the total area of the country. While saying agricultural landscape, we immediately see farmlands, meadows or pastures. But is that all? Are there any other elements of the agricultural landscape important for bird life? The mosaic of landscapes and their diversity have a great importance. The valley of the river Bug, the place where we are now, is a good example. On the one hand, we have a large, uniform areas of grassland, but at the same time, there's a terrain microtopography with wet depressions or hills covered with grasses. We also have an area overgrown with belts of trees and shrubs. What are the most common landscape species typical of a meadow that can be found in belts of trees and shrubs? The typical species of the agricultural landscape are various Emberizidae, such as the yellow hammer, ortolan bunting or corn bunting. On the other hand, in the depressions of the terrain, in ponds, we encounter yet another species, the common reed bunting. Are human settlements also a part of the agricultural landscape? Of course they are. Villages are the nesting place for the flagship species of the cultural landscape, the stork. Rural areas are also an important place of occurrence of hares, deer and other mammals. Their presence is determined by the existence of various landscape elements such as midfield trees, shrubs or small forests. In the early 1990s, there were significant changes in agricultural management. The profitability of production decreased significantly, which resulted in the abandonment of agriculture in many areas, especially those suffering from natural handicaps. As a result, the total surface of fallow and uncultivated land increased and the agricultural landscape became more diverse. However, after the Polish accession to the European Union, the situation changed. After the Polish accession to the European Union, the factor that most strongly influences the shape of agriculture in the region of Lublin and also in other parts of the country is the system of subsidies under the Common Agricultural Policy. This results, among other things, in the removal of unproductive landscape elements such as woodlots, midfield ponds and field margins. As a result, we see declines in population of many common bird species. We also see the disappearance of other species, including plants and animals, and also the disappearance of entire habitats. The implementation of some of the instruments of the Common Agricultural Policy may result in losses sustained by nature and environment. Particularly negative for the agricultural landscape and the associated biological diversity is the impact of land consolidation and the creation of large-scale fields. The merging of arable fields is forced by the ever-increasing economic pressure for the reduction of production costs. Large machines work efficiently only in sufficiently large fields. For smaller plots, they lose their basic value, that is, high performance. The merging of fields also results in destroying the marginal areas, which includes wild field margins, the mainstay of biological diversity. Large fields, free of weeds and sown with only one plant species, are a desert in terms of biodiversity. There is no room for anything else but the crop. The common agricultural policy is being, however, gradually changed. The successive reforms make its impact on the landscape and wildlife more favorable. Currently, payments criteria under this policy have changed, and obtaining them depends on the implementation of pro-environmental standards. This new pro-environmental policy is called the greening.
To zazielenienie ma przede wszystkim na celu
The greening is primarily aimed at the dissemination of agricultural practices promoting the natural environment, including biodiversity.
Także różnorodności biologicznej. W tej chwili
At
zazielenienie
the moment, the
składa się z
greening
takich
consists
trzech
of three
komponentów.
basic elements.
Pierwszy to jest
First is
dywersyfikacja
the
upraw
diversification of
innymi
crops,
słowy, chodzi o to,
which is the
abyśmy
cultivation
mieli
of
jak
the
najbardziej
largest possible number of different
zróżnicowane
crops on
rośliny na
arable
grunta
land.
rolnych. Drugi element to jest
Second is the
utrzymanie
maintenance of
powierzchni
permanent pastures,
trwałych użytków zielonych,
which are the elements of great
które są
importance from
bardzo
the
ważnym
environmental protection
siedliskiem z
and
punktu widzenia,
biodiversity
ochrony
conservation point of
środowiska,
view.
z punktu widzenia również ochrony różnorodności biologicznej. I wreszcie trzeci fundament
The third element of greening is to
zazielenienia
maintain ecological
jest
focus
to
areas.
utrzymanie obszarów proekologicznych.
As regards the ecological
W ramach
focus
obszarów
areas,
proekologicznych,
Poland has adopted
Polska
an
przyjęła
extensive
szeroką
list of
listę.
them.
Jest ich kilka, wśród nich jednym z najważniejszych są tak zwane elementy krajobrazu. Widoczny tutaj
Among
pas
them, one of the
zadrzewień,
most
są to
important
również
are the
oczka
so-called
wodne,
elements
są to
of the
również
landscape.
miedze śródpolne, pojedyncze
One of them are
drzewa,
shelter
ścięty
bells of trees,
drzew.
ponds, field
Oprócz
margins,
elementów krajobrazu,
single trees or clumps of
wśród
trees
obszarów
visible here.
proekologicznych wyodrębnia się również
Other ecological focus areas
międzyplony
are catch
oraz,
crops and green
pokrywę
cover.
zieloną. W ramach tego rodzaju obszarów proekologicznych wyodrębniamy międzyplony
This kind of ecological focus areas consist of stubble catch crops, winter intercrops and undersown catch crops. Here we are amidst what is the example of an undersown catch crop sown in spring wheat. It is a mixture of two species of clover and several species of grasses. Intercrops perform a variety of important functions in agro-ecosystems. Above all, they protect the soil. They improve soil quality, but they're also a very important biodiversity supporting element.
Wspierający różnorodność biologiczną.
Aftercrops are important for a variety of organisms, including various species of birds. Yellowhammers or corn buntings prefer winter intercrops rather than bare, ploughed field. Fields are a valuable place of occurrence of birds not only in spring and summer, but also in autumn and winter. Depending on the field management practices, birds can find more or less food there. The best form of management of the fields in winter, from the bird life point of view, are stubbles. They are places rich in valuable crop residues.
Innymi rodzajami obszarów proekologicznych są
Other types of ecological focus areas are fallow lands, or lands which are not sown with any plants for 1 or 2 seasons.
Kolejnym ważnym przykładem
Another important area are ecological buffer zones,
są to pasy roślinności,
green belts of vegetation along the watercourses, which primarily protect the water, mainly from pollution coming from the fields.
Zanieczyszczeniami pochodzącymi głównie z pól, ale także te pasy
But also are an important reservoir of biodiversity.
różnorodności biologicznej. Do obszarów proekologicznych zaliczamy również
The ecological focus areas also include green belts along the edges of forests and wooded areas, as well as plantations of short rotation, such as willow, poplar and birch plantations.
jak wierzba, topola czy brzoza.
The conservation of landscape is not only a way to protect nature or the requirement under the provisions of the Common Agricultural Policy, but it also benefits the farmer. Midfield ponds and wetlands limit the losses to crops caused by drought. Trees, woodlands and belts of grasslands are a very good way to reduce erosion. These elements help decrease the runoff of nutrients and pesticide residues, which results in reduced water pollution caused by agriculture. Finally, the elements of the landscape are a source of ecosystem regulating services, primarily natural pest control and pollination. Varied landscape is a key element of effective biodiversity conservation in rural areas. The richness of its elements provides many places to live for many species of plants and animals. Mechanization and intensification of agricultural production often requires simplification of landscape and getting rid of its unproductive elements. However, such changes are not only harmful to the nature, but also have some negative consequences to the farmer.